All right, I'm ready.
Welcome to the Live to 110 podcast. My name is Wendy Myers, and I'll be your host for today. You can check out the Live to 110 video podcast on my YouTube channel, which is Wendy Live to 110. Today, I'm really excited to have our guest on. It's Debra Lynn Dadd. She is a toxins expert, and we're going to be talking about the toxic products, the cleaning products that people use in their homes every day, thinking that they are improving the health and the health of their family by killing germs. Oh my gosh, not germs. And so many people don't realize that our bodies are meant to kill germs. Our bodies are very used to killing germs or pathogens that are bad for us, but they are not accustomed or equipped to detox the chemicals that are in most cleaning products today. And so that's the message I try to get out to you listeners as much as I can, is that we really need to be thinking about, choosing the germs over the chemicals. The germs are not going to kill you. And we're also going to be talking all about toxins and all kinds of other detox stuff, because Debra Lynn Dadd is very much a toxins expert. I'm so excited to have her on the show today. So first we have to do the disclaimer. Please keep in mind that this show is not intended to diagnose any disease or health condition and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. So please consult your healthcare practitioner before engaging in any treatment or suggestion that we talk about on the show today. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. And if you guys want to sign up for my free Live to 110 by Weighing Less e-guide and get 5 free modern paleo survival guides, got lots more in the tunnel for you guys. I've got about 40 modern paleo survival guides planned, little charts that help you to navigate your diet and your lifestyle. So go to the website, live110.com, and sign up for those. And I'm also really excited. I'm going to be a speaker at the Bulletproof Conference that Dave Asprey puts on every year. He has the #1 health podcast out there right now. And I'm going to be talking about infrared saunas. And I'll also have a booth there hawking my little infrared saunas that I sell on my website. And I think they're one of the best things that you can do to detox your body and live a healthy lifestyle. So come down, say hi to me in Pasadena. It's near Los Angeles, September 26th to the 28th. Love to have you there. I'm also going to be a speaker at the Women's Gluten-Free Summit. You can check that out at womensglutenfreehealthsummit.com. I'm going to be, this is a online summit, totally free, that Jennifer Fugo puts on. She is the gluten-free expert queen, and I'm going to be talking about how to do a food elimination diet and figuring out if gluten works for you or not in your diet, because for most people it does not. I'm a big advocate of going gluten-free. I don't think it's doing anybody any favors for their health. So today, our interview, Debra Lynn Dadd wrote the first published book on toxic chemicals and consumer products way back in 1984, 30 years ago.
That was when I was 6 years old.
But that's I love that you've been studying about this and learning about it and teaching people for so long about it. That's fantastic. And Debra has updated her books. Her updated books have been continuously in print ever since. And she became interested in the subject after learning that exposure to toxic chemicals in her own home were causing her a variety of health problems. And she restored her health by identifying the toxic chemicals in her home and removing them. After seeing the harm toxic chemicals can cause and that safe alternatives do exist, Debra made it her life's work to educate consumers on how to make safer choices so everyone can live a happier, healthier lifestyle. Today, Debra has one of the most extensive websites about how to live toxic-free and continues to expand her work into new areas. She's got a directory of hundreds of websites where you can buy toxic-free products. She's got a food blog and information on how to remove toxic chemicals from your body, which we're going to get into today. And Debra is the host of Toxic Free Talk Radio, which I'll be a guest on next Tuesday. And you can even call her directly for a personal consultation. So please go check out her website at toxicfree123.com. So, Debra, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for inviting me.
So, how did you get into the toxic-free lifestyle? Tell us a little bit about, your history with that and why you become such a big advocate of going toxin-free.
When I was 24, I became very ill and I didn't know what it was. And I had all kinds of symptoms that ranged from being depressed to gaining weight to not being able to sleep at night. In fact, and then I would not sleep at night and then I would not be tired all day long. And I used to binge eat and I would get headaches, just almost you name it, and I would get it. And I thought none of these symptoms go together to make any kind of illness that I've ever heard of before. And my doctor didn't know what was going on. And my mother at that time was actually dying of cancer. And my father took her to a doctor, an alternative doctor, who would give her intravenous vitamin C, the only doctor who would do that then. This was many years ago. And he was treating people for something that I had never heard of before called environmental illness, which meant that these people were exposed to chemicals in their home environment, and it was those chemicals were making them sick. And at the time, I think they probably still do this, but at the time it was pretty common to do something called provocative neutralization testing, where they would test you for a chemical, your symptoms would turn on, and then they would turn off the symptoms, like doing an allergy shot, except that it wasn't a shot. And so he would go in and wait for my mom while she was getting her intravenous vitamin C, and he'd see the doctor turning these symptoms on and off, on and off, on and off, and he said, "That's what's wrong with my daughter." And so he took me in. First he came home, and he told me about this, and one of my symptoms was that I wouldn't do anything to help myself. And so
that's interesting to recognize that as a symptom.
Yeah. I didn't recognize it until later. But what happened was that he started telling me about this, and I started getting all upset, and I was crying, and I didn't have any reason to be crying. It was just all uncontrolled. And so one of the things that he learned was that you could take Alka-Seltzer in the gold package, and it would turn off the symptoms. And so he had gotten some Alka-Seltzer. He put it in a glass. He says, "Here, drink this." And I said, "I will not drink this." And threw it across the room. And we had this big drama going on.
Yeah.
He had to wrestle me to the floor.
Wow.
And pour it down my throat. And then, then I woke up and I said, "What just happened?" And that showed me that something was wrong. That was like my aha moment where I saw something is wrong, because if he can give me this Alka-Seltzer in the gold package and turn off my symptoms, what is causing them? And that's when I went to the doctor's office. I started meeting other people who already knew that their exposures to toxic chemicals in their homes were making them sick. They told me about their symptoms. I found out insomnia was one of the symptoms. And I just started putting two and two together. And when I did all the research, I was really, really sick. I could not function. I was disabled, not being able to function. But I dragged myself out of bed every day and went down to the medical library at the hospital and places like that where I could research. And I found out, for example, that formaldehyde causes insomnia. Now, where is formaldehyde? It's on practically every bed sheet in America. It's that permanent press finish. And I was trying to sleep every night in this cloud of formaldehyde that was keeping me awake. And when I changed my sheets, I could sleep. And when I saw that, I said, wait a minute, there's really something to this. And I just kept researching and finding. There was no books or websites like mine then. So I had to find out in one book what the symptom was and the chemical that went with that symptom. And then I had to find out where was that chemical in the consumer product before I could then go to my house and say, well, I've got permanent press bed sheets, there's formaldehyde. And I discovered things like chlorine in tap water in my shower was making me faint. Perfume was giving me headaches. It all made sense. And as I started to heal, I thought, I just went through this whole ordeal of being so sick to the point of being disabled physically and mentally. And nobody has to go through this because we don't have to have toxic chemicals in our homes. And I see all these people who have all these illnesses and are taking all these drugs and spending all this money on health care. And there's even studies have been done to show the huge percentage of our healthcare dollars are going to conditions that are caused by our toxic chemical exposures, like 75% or something. I don't remember the exact number. But we don't need to be sick. We just don't need to be sick. And when I saw that 30 years ago, I said, I just need to let everybody know this. I need to keep doing the research and letting people know in a practical way how they can live without these toxic chemicals. It wasn't enough to say, avoid the toxic chemicals. I had to tell people how to do that. So that's what I've been doing.
I really have my hats off to you for being
Thank
such
you.
a pioneer in this field and having to do all of that research kind of, manually on your own.
Manually, it
when
was.
you're
There was no
sick.
computers
At
either.
the
I had
same
to go
time
down to
being
the
sick.
library. Yeah.
It's difficult to find correct. Now we have so much information. It's hard to find good information and correct
Right.
information. And
Right.
that's something I tore my hair out doing when I was first learning about health and nutrition. It's a jungle out there.
It is.
But I'm sure it was more of a jungle having to find all this information in obscure journals and obscure books. And wow, I can only imagine. But yeah, it makes me really sad when I hear of so many people that are so sick and they go to doctors who have zero training in toxicity and chronic low-level heavy metal toxicity. They're trained in acute heavy metal toxicity, but not the chronic low level that most people suffer from. And it's just really sad. They're just adding more toxic medications on top of their
Exactly.
toxic body burden. And it doesn't help.
It doesn't. And toxic exposure really is the number one health problem today, I think. I mean, it really is. And people try to do other things. I mean, they do things like take drugs, but they also try to do a lot of natural things. And even the natural things won't work if what you're doing is putting all these toxic chemicals in your body, because it's like trying to empty a bathtub when you're filling it up, and you're actually filling up the bathtub faster than it can empty itself.
Yeah.
And that's just, putting the toxic chemicals in your body faster than they can be assimilated and eliminated. And if people would just do this as the first step, then they would eliminate a whole lot of healthcare costs and a whole lot of discomfort. And, it's just the thing that everybody needs to do today.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to talk about. Is I talk a lot about detox and detoxing your body, but I wanted you, the expert, to talk about how we can reduce our exposure to toxic chemicals in our home, which is where most people are getting the majority of their toxic exposures, and the air and the cleaning supplies and whatnot. So, can you tell the listeners about some of the most toxic cleaning products that they're using?
Well, all the cleaning products they're using are the most toxic. The very first book that I wrote in 1984 was just a directory of non-toxic products that I had found. But the second book was in answer to the question, well, where do I start? What's the most toxic things? What do I do first? And the whole first chapter was just about cleaning products. And it was hard within cleaning products to put them in some kind of order because there's so many toxic chemicals that are used in cleaning products. Cleaning products are so toxic that they're governed by the Federal Hazardous Substances Act. Unfortunately, what happens is that they don't, by law, cleaning products do not have to say what are the ingredients. And so I had to do a lot of research in industrial journals and things to find out what was in the cleaning products. And there's just a whole lot of toxic chemicals. And I'm not even going to go into all the names because they're things that nobody would recognize. Just suffice to say that they are so toxic that they're governed by a law that says that they have to have warning labels depending on certain degrees of harm. But what they don't consider, the warning labels are all about, as you said before, the acute poisoning. And that means if you are exposed to it, you're going to have some horrible symptom right now today. That's why they have poison control centers, is for acute exposures. But most of us are suffering from what are called chronic exposures, which is the day in, day out, small exposures that build up in your body. And you almost aren't even aware of them. But then after they reach a certain level and you have what is the Centers for Disease Control now calls body burden, once that body burden builds up, then you start being sick. So the warning labels, actually there was a study to show that the warning labels weren't even being used properly. So we have all these toxic cleaning products, and so my best advice is just don't use anything that's sold at the supermarket.
Yeah, they're all so
there's only
toxic.
one. I mean, they're starting to have some better ones now, but when I first started, there was only one cleaning product at the supermarket, and that was Bon-Ami. That Bon-Ami is not toxic.
I use that still today. I have that in my cabinet.
I love Bon-Ami. It's a really good basic cleaning product
instead of the soft scrub, which is full of bleach and things like that.
Yeah.
So what are do you like the Method? I mean, that's one that's in a lot of the grocery stores now. Do you think that's
I looked at their ingredients, and they have some ingredients in them that I wouldn't use personally. And even I used to say just go to the natural food store, but even the natural food stores now have some. You have to kind of watch out. My favorite brand is Vermont Natural Soap, and because they have a tremendous amount of organic ingredients. It's not just natural ingredients. They make theirs out of organic ingredients. The owner of the company is very sensitive to chemicals himself, and so he's very aware of, I mean, his standard for how pure they need to be is very, very, very high. But I also make a lot of cleaning products myself because I started out making them myself when there were no commercial products. And I just continue to do that. I mean, I just use soap and vinegar and water and baking soda and things like that to clean my house. And it gets it clean.
Do you have recipes on your website about how to make these natural cleaners?
I have some in where actually I'm in the process of adding all of those because they've been in my books in the past. But as books get updated, you know, they aren't there. But there are some books on my website that are just filled with, like Annie Berthold Bond's Clean and Green. She has a bunch of them. What's another one? Better Basics for the Home. If you get a book like that, and if you go to my website, I have a books section. Just click on books and go to the cleaning section, and it lists all those cleaning books that have all those recipes. Yeah.
What about Lysol? There's people just spraying Lysol over their home, all over, and killing germs. Oh my God, because there's germs that are going to kill us. And using the Lysol disinfectant toilet spray and all this whatnot. What do you think about Lysol?
Well, I need to say about Lysol, they're also running ads saying use Lysol for your healthy home or something.
I know,
like
they're
that.
helping.
They're helping. Yeah, that's the word. Well, what they're trying to tell you is that germs are bad, and you need to use their toxic chemicals to get rid of the germs, and that makes you healthier. And Lysol has a lot of toxic chemicals in it, and so I do not recommend Lysol. But here's the thing about germs is that your body is accustomed to fighting germs. We have immune systems to do that, and if our bodies are not fighting those germs in its natural way, it's because we're using all these toxic chemicals which suppress our immune system and destroy immune system cells. And that's why then we get sick. It's not because of the germs themselves. And one of the things that I just learned recently is that the antimicrobials that are in a lot of products now, and the germ killers, they're killing microorganisms. And in our bodies, in our gut, all over our bodies, we have microorganisms. We have they're not our own cells. It's like a whole different body of.
We have several pounds of them.
Yes, we do. I mean, there's like millions of
We're
them.
Infested.
And they digest our food. And you know what? There's little stuff that gathers between your eyelashes, and the microorganisms clean your eyelashes for you. Yeah. They do. It's just like they're these little things that you can't even see, but they're making our bodies run and being our friends. And then we use these antimicrobials and take antibiotics and we kill them. We've lost up to like a third of our microbials because of the chemicals that we're using. And we need to restore them. We need to not give ourselves kill more of them. We need to be restoring all those microorganisms that are helping us.
Yeah, I've actually stopped using soap on my skin because I don't want to wash away all the little microbes on there. They have microbes on your skin that actually make nitrous oxide that's healthy for your veins to be flexible.
Yeah.
And just all kinds of little things that they do. So maybe I'll do a scrub down once a week. Might be a little TMI for you listeners out there. my personal hygiene routine. But I've just only do it when I have to, just to remove the dead skin cells. But I don't soap down every day because it has consequences.
We don't need to clean our bodies as much as we do. We really don't. And I take a shower every day, but I don't always soap every day. Just rinsing does a lot, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And so it's just, we need to know that nature has a lot of wisdom, and that before the industrial age came along, we were all living outdoors, eating food right out of the ground, and things like that. And now we live in such an antiseptic environment that we're not getting all those things that we should be having from our relationship with nature, because we're just not there. We're separated from it.
Yeah, I do not fear dirt. I don't fear germs.
Me neither.
I am a dirty bird. And it's funny because my husband is actually a germaphobe. And so we argue constantly. And I'm like, but have you read the latest studies that say that you need to get sick, or that our child needs to get sick to have a healthy immune system? And he's just like, ah! So he just will not listen to me.
Well, I will say with confidence that the toxic chemicals that are used to kill germs cause more illness than the germs themselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that if we just let our bodies be in their natural healthy state, our immune systems will take care of it.
Yeah, and then I definitely am for reasonable measures, washing your hands,
Me too.
if you've been touching all kinds of public places. But beyond that, there's no point in spending energy worrying about germs, which I think a lot of people do. But they spend a lot of energy thinking about it and cleaning and worrying about that. It's almost like you'd have to, scrub your body with a toothbrush. Some of the people that are OCD and get on the hands and knees and scrub the floor with a toothbrush to get all the germs and whatnot. It's my point was that you can't. You'd have to destroy your body to get rid of all the bacteria and germs in them. So where do you start if you want to start to detox your cleaning products?
Well, I would just start by just, if you haven't done anything before and you're just buying everything at the supermarket, just take all of it out and don't throw it in the garbage, because it's household hazardous waste.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
That's what you're cleaning your house with is legally classified as hazardous waste. And so you need to take it down to the proper household hazardous waste disposal place. Find out what that is. You call your garbage man, whoever picks up your garbage, and say, what do I do with my household hazardous waste? And then that's what you do. Then the next thing that I would do is get a book about how to make your cleaning products. But it's not even that difficult. I'll just give you a few to start with. Vinegar and water. You just put it half and half in a squirt bottle, which costs a couple dollars at a hardware store. And you can use that for windows. You can use that for countertops. You just go down to the natural food store and buy some brand of a liquid soap, and not liquid detergent, liquid soap. And you can use that to wash dishes. You can use that to wash anything else.
Like Dr. Bronner's? That's a good
Dr.
one.
Bronner's is fine. Vermont Natural Soap. There's several different brands, but Dr. Bronner's has been around forever. And they're in every natural food store. So you can certainly start with that one if you want to. And they have some organic ingredients. And baking soda is the other one. When I wrote my very, very, very first self-published book in 1982, I had very little information, but it was a start. And a friend of mine said, you should just call this book Do Everything with Baking Soda. Because at that time, all we had was vinegar, lemon juice, baking soda, and Bon Ami. That was it. And nobody had done all the research that people have done now on tea tree oil and all these other things that you can use to wash with. But baking soda will do a lot. You can use baking soda to scour your sink if you don't have Bon Ami. I use it to, clean the drain, to open the drains, all kinds of things. It's just, if you just start with vinegar, lemon juice, and baking soda and get some instructions. Even my book, Toxic Free, has the instructions on how to use those 3 items. So you can just get started with that.
Okay. Yeah, and so basically, what are some good alternative brands that you really like? I know you mentioned the Vermont Natural Soap. You mentioned Dr. Bronner's. Are there any other ones that you like?
BioClean, I like.
Yeah.
I use their dish soap actually, and I really like it. Seventh Generation. Seventh Generation is doing an interesting thing in. This is going into a different subject, but when you look at if something is toxic, the first level of looking at it is to look at the ingredients on the label. And so they would be ingredients like when you're making a recipe, cooking a recipe, it says milk, eggs, flour, etc. And so then the ingredients on the label would be like the milk, eggs, and flour that is being put into the product. But there's a whole new level of people looking at the whole, what's called the supply chain. And so Seventh Generation is actually one of the leaders of people who are now looking throughout how all their ingredients are made. And sometimes the ingredient is made, like if you were to put, say, mayonnaise in your salad dressing, mayonnaise has its own list of ingredients. It's not a source ingredient.
Yeah.
And so they're looking at where are all these ingredients coming from, these industrial ingredients that are put together to make things like cleaning products. How toxic are they? Are they creating toxic waste? But there's just this whole list of things that people are looking at. And so Seventh Generation is one who has been very aware for many, many years of the toxic chemicals, and now they're going on to the next level of looking at these things.
Yeah, I think that's so important because that's one problem with ingredients, even like perfume. Though that's an ingredient that is protected by patents, so the manufacturer can just list perfume, but there are going to be 100 ingredients or more
That's
in
right.
that one ingredient label.
That's right. And perfume has many, many toxic ingredients in it. And there's actually a place that you can go. I have it on my website. There's a website where you can go that lists all the perfume ingredients.
Oh, wow.
And so it's not by perfume, but these are the thousands of ingredients that may be in your perfume. And so then if you were so inclined, you could look up the health effects of those. But I think that there's one company that has been advertising, I don't remember which one major company has been advertising that they're disclosing what's in their perfumes. SC Johnson, I think. In fact, I think you can go to their website and it says what is in their perfumes. But, I think it's great that they're disclosing. But when I went and looked at their ingredients, there was still toxic ingredients in it. It's just they're disclosing it,
Just being open about it.
Yeah.
Well,
Which is better than not being open about it.
Yeah, but it makes people trust them more, I guess.
so.
So what are some of the health issues associated with using the typical bleaches and perfume detergents and other cleaners that are, routinely used in millions of homes?
It can actually be anything. It can be because the way health issues are, toxic chemicals, you can look up a toxic chemical and you can look up the health effects and it'll do this and this and this. When I wrote my most recent book, Toxic Free, what I did was that I looked at all the different body systems, like the immune system, the endocrine system, the gastrointestinal system. And I started categorizing chemicals according to what system they affect. And so if you look at something like an endocrine disruptor, like BPA will cause all kinds of things that range from making you gain weight to losing your sex drive to just adrenal malfunction. Anything that has to do with the endocrine system will be affected by that. And so it's hard to say this chemical is going to affect this person in this way because like you and I could be exposed to the same chemicals, and our bodies could react in very different ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
I'm just, and it's also another important thing is that it's not about just being exposed to one chemical with one health effect, because the synergy between two chemicals actually makes it worse. And I've seen studies where they have tested individual chemicals where there were no health effects, and then they started combining them, and by the end, the rats died.
yeah.
And we've you may have heard that there's more of a risk for cigarette smokers if they've been exposed to asbestos. The combination of cigarettes and asbestos is more likely to cause lung cancer than either of them separately. And that's true for every single chemical. And when you start thinking about that, we're exposed to hundreds of chemicals every day, that they're going in our bodies and they're all combining. Now, how can you ever test that? You cannot
It'll
test
never
that.
happen. That will never
Yeah,
happen. So
because every day we have a different mix, and so we can't ever determine what is the ultimate harm from this. And I don't even want to consider that. So I just, I just, in looking at what the danger is for the individual chemicals, I go, that's enough information. I'm just not going to be exposed to them.
yeah.
And I found over the years for myself and other people that I've worked with to help them go through this, that everybody's health improves when they remove toxic chemicals.
Yeah. I mean, the
Just
EPA has
across the board.
established this. The EPA has
Yeah,
established that we have hundreds of chemicals in our bodies.
right.
And every person, on average, I read that they have 700 chemicals in their body, all
Oh, something like that.
synergistically
Yeah,
combining
yeah.
and potentiating each other. And what do you do to detox? What do you do? You know, you're the detox expert. What do you do? I want to know what you're doing to detox.
Well, actually, I detox on a continuous basis. My doctor says, um, he's a natural oriented doctor. He says that, of course, and this is true, that the body is detoxing every moment of every day. It's not about going on a detox every spring or for a week or whatever, that we need to be detoxing every day. So I have done sauna detox, like extensive sauna detoxes. And I think that they work, and that there's plenty of scientific evidence to show that they work. And but it's not something, I don't think that I would do a sauna every day. It takes time and sweat, and
Yeah.
so
I
but
recommend
there's
people
other
do
things.
it at a period of time every day, and then after that, just
Yeah.
on a maintenance basis.
Yes, because that's exactly a good point, that you do need to do something intensively for a period of time in order to reduce your body burden. And then we need to do things on a maintenance basis because we're still getting new toxic chemicals in. So what I do is I drink a lot of water, really pure water. I eat a lot of vegetables and fruits because those flush out your bodies. Things like garlic and cilantro will detox chemicals. But I also take something called liquid zeolite. I take it every day. And what it does is it acts like it circulates in your body, in your blood. And so when it encounters a heavy metal, or it actually removes things in a certain order. So it starts with the heavy metals, and then it will start removing other things later. But when it encounters it, then it's like a magnet, and it just binds to it. And so then the particle of zeolite gets eliminated through the kidneys after about 4 to 6 hours. And it just takes that heavy metal with it. And one of the reasons why this works so well is that you could do something like a kidney detox or a liver detox to make those detox organs work better, but they still have to work. And what this will do is remove those heavy metals from your body, even if your body isn't working. And one of the first people when I first started recommending this and taking it myself, one of the first people who wrote to me said, my father has been in bed for years, and I gave him some of your liquid zeolite, and after 5 days, he got up and walked into the kitchen and announced that he was going to the donut shop.
Oh, wow. To ingest toxins.
Yeah, but he got up out of bed, and that was the only
Yes.
change. That was the only
Yeah.
change. And when I started taking it after about 10 days, I woke up in the morning and went, oh my God, I've never felt this good. Now, I'm a person who at this point had been like 25 years of no toxic exposure in my home. And still I took it and there was an effect because I used to think that if I just avoided the toxic chemicals, that my body's natural detox process would eliminate the chemicals that were in there. Well, it does that to a certain degree, but we're so overloaded.
Yeah.
And so I found that when I took this, after 10 days, I went, oh my God, I've never felt this good. What happened? What happened? And I said, I feel euphoric. And this is the word. People write to me and say, I felt euphoric. I mean, I'm not like telling them this word. It's just they write to me over and over and they say, I took that zeolite and I feel euphoric. I mean, you don't feel euphoric every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But it's so common that this feeling of euphoria that you get when the heavy metals start clearing, that I now refer to it as zeolite euphoria, and I just expect people to have it because, and I'm not saying 100% of the people will have it, but it's just such a night and day experience that you think you're feeling well, but until you don't have the chemicals in your body, and everybody has them, I think it would be like impossible to live in this world today and not be exposed to them. So I feel confident in saying, if you're listening to this show, you've got heavy metals in your body that need to be removed.
Oh yeah, the question is just to what degree? How much do you have? That's the only question.
That's the only question. It's not yes or no. It's how are you going to get them out, and to what degree do you need to remove them?
Yeah.
And so I take this, even though I've already gone through the clearing of the old heavy metals, and I still take it every day because it does other things. Like once you clear the heavy metals, it will actually keep viruses from replicating. And so I can be around people who are sick and I don't get sick because the viruses go in my body and they don't replicate because I'm taking zeolite.
What brand do you take of zeolite?
I take a brand called Touchstone Essentials, and so it's called Pure Body Liquid Zeolite. You can go to my website, toxicfree123.com, and all the information is there.
I've heard of them. They're a really good high quality company.
They are.
I looked on their website. They have amazing products. Can you tell us a little bit about the company and the quality of their zeolite?
The company's been around for a little over 2 years, about 2.5 years. And the thing about their zeolite is that it's processed in a certain way because zeolite is a natural mineral and it attracts. It has this very strong magnetic force, and they used it like in Chernobyl it's another thing that they do, that takes out is radiation. So especially if you're on the west coast of the United States and you're getting radiation.
You're eating sushi from Japan.
Yeah. All those things. So any concern you have about radiation, this takes out the radiation out of your body too. But the thing is that you have to clean the zeolite, and not all zeolite products have been cleaned. Because in nature, it's of course attracting things. And so what they do is that they crush it and they clean it. And so you have clean zeolite so that it's there doing that. And it's also processed to a certain particle size. And they have two different particle sizes. One that is basically for your blood and intestines, and then a smaller one that actually goes into your cells. Because there are toxic chemicals in your cells, and if you can't get the zeolite in, you're not going to get the heavy metals out of your cells.
That's what I have a lot with my clients. They've got really, really high calcium levels on their hair tests. And if you have high calcium levels from different adaptations the body makes, stressors and whatnot, it causes this reduced cell permeability. So the calcium is so high that toxins can't get out and nutrients and hormones can't get in. So that's one thing I do in my Mineral Power program is we correct that. And that's a big problem. 80% of people have that problem.
Wow. Well, the whole basic premise at Touchstone is like get the bad stuff out so the good stuff can go in. Because step 2 is that they have these incredible supplements where they grow all the plants themselves on their own farm. So it's all regulated and it's all cold processed, so there's no heat. And it goes into the amber jars, and it's all like the purest kind of whole food supplements that I've been able to find. And the integrity of the people I know, everybody there in the company, everybody on the staff, they have conferences once a year, so you can go visit their headquarters in Raleigh, and you can talk to people, and they're there to answer your questions. And I take these supplements every day because it's food. It's not a supplement. It's food nutrients. It's just dehydrated food. And I feel great. I see miraculous things. When I go to the conferences, I see people who couldn't walk can now walk. I know this sounds miraculous, but people who've been in bed are now walking around telling their stories. And it really is just it's not a miracle thing. It's detox and enough nutrition.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Good quality nutrition.
That's what I do. That's my message. That's what my program
does. That's my message too.
Detox
that's my message
and nutrition, and you have been healed. It's like it's not a miracle.
It's the answer. If it's any miracle, it's like nature's miracle, because that's all we're doing is taking these nutrients from nature. We're taking away the bad stuff, and it's amazing.
It's a very simple formula, but it works.
It is. It works.
It's the missing link. The people aren't getting at their doctors because the doctors don't pay attention to nutrition and they don't pay attention to detox. They're missing the whole point. And so that's why I urge people to really take responsibility for their own health and not always listen to their physicians, even though they mean well, and we do need medications and surgery at times. We need that. We need to suppress symptoms sometimes. But the cornerstone of your health should be nutrition and detox.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I like you.
I like you too.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us about your book, Toxin Free, or it's Toxic Free?
Toxic Free.
Yeah.
Toxic Free. Toxic Free is, I think it was book number 7 or 8. I lose track of it because I've written so many. Yeah. But what it is just, it's intended to be, where do you start? And so half the book is about removing toxic chemicals from your home. Half the book is about removing toxic chemicals from your body. And so it gives, in the part about your home, it gives 50 things that you can do and basic instructions, like using vinegar and water, or, what to look for, what kinds of toxic-free products to look for like the top 50 things. And if you just do those top 50 things, you'll have most of everything out of your house. And it's an easy book to read. I've had people tell me it's the best book that I've written, and it really was designed to just get everybody going to get the toxic chemicals out of their homes and out of their bodies.
Yeah, and do you talk about beauty products in there as well?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big...
I talk about everything. Talk about everything. I mean, cleaning products, beauty products, carpets, beds, clothing, everything that you would encounter in your home. And then I have so much more information on my website, because you can go there, and it's toxicfree123.com. And then across the top, there's a menu. If you click on shop, it'll take you to my list of hundreds of websites that have toxic-free products. And so there's just like really nothing. If you go to my website and you can't find what you're looking for, just email me and I will find it for you.
Yeah.
Because there is no excuse for toxic living anymore.
Yeah.
Everything that you need is available.
Yeah,
everything.
That's what's great about living in our day and age. There are so many companies that are sensitive to consumers' needs and toxicity, and there's so many products available. It's unbelievable.
Well, the thing really is, why I still have a job is that most consumers don't know how to figure out what's toxic and not toxic. And also, companies aren't communicating very well if they're toxic or not toxic. Even the ones that aren't toxic don't really know how to communicate. And so I see the next step in my work is helping, instead of just providing people with lists, I really need to educate consumers more, but also educate companies as to how to communicate, how to disclose. And I'm already starting to work with a few companies like that. And I really... I'm not going to be alive forever. Yeah. I've been doing this.
No, I'm joking. I'm going to live to 110.
Yeah, you are. Well, even when I live to 110, because I actually think I'm getting younger and healthier. And even when I live to 110, still there'll be some finite day when either my body won't be here anymore, or I won't want to do this anymore. And I can't let everything that I've done, all the progress that I've made, just disappear. And so I'm really looking at how am I going to continue whether I'm there or not? How is this work going to continue? And I mean, not that I don't have a terminal illness or anything like that. It's just, maybe I'd like to do something else with my life. Go on a vacation.
Yeah. I know, I hear you. No vacations in my future anytime soon. I'm having too much fun, though.
No, I'm having a lot of fun, too. I really do I love what I do. I have a radio show every day. I don't always do live every day, but I try to do at least 3 or 4 live shows every week.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm talking to the movers and shakers and people who are working to make less toxic products and write about them, or working on regulations, or there's a whole doctors who are doing natural treatments. There's a whole toxic-free world going on. And I'm just identifying it and communicating it and helping people know about it. That's how I see my job.
Yeah, and I really feel for, back to making toxin-free products available, is that for a lot of people living in small towns and a lot of people that don't have, maybe they're not so computer savvy, I think the problem is their only options are the toxic products at the drugstore and the grocery store. Yeah. And that's the problem. I think that people have to, a lot of this world is happening online. And
that's exactly right.
In the big city, there's lots of little specialty shops and whatnot that sell products. Kind of have to know where to find them. But people, they've got to get online and find this stuff.
They do. But I find I'm always looking around wherever I am, whether I'm shopping locally at home or whether I'm traveling. I'm always looking for toxic-free products. It's like I have, looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. I'm always looking at the world through toxic-free glasses. Yeah. and it's like I'm
it's
looking.
A burden.
Yeah, I'm looking at a shelf of things, and my mind is going toxic free, toxic free. And I can recognize things right away. I know what to look for now, and I want all consumers to be like that. I want them to be able to. I just want to empower everybody to look at choosing toxic free products as a challenge that's interesting. But once you learn it, like once you choose your brands, you can just keep buying them. You don't have to keep looking and choosing every single time. Once you know that you're going to buy Dr. Bronner's soap instead of scented liquid detergent to wash your dishes, then you just go buy your Dr. Bronner's soap. But I'm always looking because I want to see the new things that are happening. I want to see how the whole field is developing. But not everybody needs to do that. Just find out what you need, where you can get it that's toxic free, and you're set.
And the products are getting better and better too. I think
they are.
When some of the natural products came out, I would try them, and I had stains all over my dishes. I did not have that sparkle-free diamond shine on my glasses.
I know. But they're getting better.
They are.
And so you can really live in a toxic-free way that is, I was going to say every bit as enjoyable, but I think it's more enjoyable because organic food tastes so much better than toxic food, and it's so wonderful to put those natural things on your skin, and soft cotton sheets feel so good when you're sleeping on them, and I can just go on and tell you what sensory delight there is in having organic and natural things that are toxic free and not making you sick.
Yeah. Well, hallelujah. I'm right there with you. Yeah, I cannot stand the artificial scents. I'm very, as women, we have a more developed sense of smell than men.
Yeah.
So we're more sensitive to smells, but I can't stand those synthetic perfumes. And I can tell the difference between essential oils and like the synthetic scents that are in Cascade or Bath and Body Works products. It just it repulses me on some level, and I know instantly if it's a natural scent or an artificial scent or a petroleum-based scent, whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, Debra, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for asking me.
That was so informative, and I know all the listeners are going to go right away and call the hazardous waste department in their area and get rid of all their toxic cleaners.
Yes. And they're going to go to toxicfree123.com and find out what to use instead and see all the possibilities. It really is such a joy for me to be discovering and finding and communicating about all the wonderful things that people can use that are supporting their health instead of making them sick. And I love doing it. And so I hope everybody comes to see what they can use.
I highly recommend her site. It's a fantastic website. I was learning stuff on it. So definitely you're going to learn something as well. And everyone, if you want to learn more about detoxification and my version of the paleo diet, the modern paleo diet, and healing your health conditions naturally, come on over to live110.com. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter at I Will Live to 110. And you can see this video podcast on YouTube and on the blog post of the same name on live110.com. And if you like what you heard on the show today, please go take a couple minutes and give the Live to 110 podcast a review on iTunes. I would appreciate that so much. And thank you so much for listening to the Live to 110 podcast.